Off-road vehicles like four-wheelers are part of many rural Indiana towns' cultures used for recreation and for utility purposes. Federal highway safety regulations don't apply to ATVs, so it's up to each state to establish its own laws. As a result, there's a patchwork of safety standards across the country. In Indiana, ATVs are largely unregulated, but as Lindsay Wright reports, a local mother is pushing to strengthen the laws after a tragic accident changed her and her family's lives forever.
We spend probably a lot more time here at the playground than we do at the cemetery.
It's been nearly a year since Ashlee Bruggenschmidt received the phone call that for so long she didn't believe was real.
Kate was very anxious and very shy. She wasn't like a risk taker or anything, so I thought, well, what did she do, like break her arm?
Last July, 11-year-old Kate spent a break between softball games at a teammate's house. She was riding an ATV at about 11 miles per hour when the 650-pound machine rolled over on her.
And when they called us, Kate was already dead.
Kate wasn't wearing a helmet when she died from blunt force trauma to the head.
She still had her softball chest guard in, that we like her heart guard that we would make her wear for every softball game. There was no damage to that.
It might sound like a freak accident, but it's all too familiar. In 2014, there were 239 ATV accidents and 13 fatalities. Those numbers increased in 2015 to 247 accidents, resulting in 16 deaths. So far this year, 8 people have died in the state. 2 Hoosiers died just over the 4th of July weekend. Bruggenschmidt is the driving force behind an effort to pass the first statewide law requiring kids under a certain age to wear a helmet. Representative Ron Bacon is drafting the bill that he calls a work in progress. It'll likely include an education component and a helmet requirement for kids under 18 or 16.
We're not saying that we know everything, at least I'm not, but I need more people involved. I need to get the Farm Bureau involved on this. We need to get them doing it. We need to get the retail people involved and say, okay, here's the law, give us if we did it this way, what issues will you have with it?
Bacon says he hasn't heard much opposition, but American Bikers Aim Toward Education, or ABATE of Indiana Executive Director Jay Jackson, says he believes education and training is the answer, not necessarily legislation.
If you just mandate with a stick, you must do this, you'll get some compliance, obviously, because it's the law. But when you tell people why to do this and that there really are benefits to them, they tend to embrace it and own it more, and it has a lot more value.
Jackson says the industry offers incentives for riders who take part in free education courses, but the results have been disappointing. He says the language of the law will determine whether the organization will support it.
Working with people is always easier than working against them. So we embrace the opportunity to talk to folks, and we're receptive to virtually any idea, whether we end up supporting it or not.
Bruggenschmidt says she agrees that helmet wearing should be a parent's decision, but that's not always the case.
As the parents who lost their child, we didn't make that decision. Somebody made that decision for us, and our child died.
Now she says this is her way of continuing to do something for her daughter.
I have to focus on the positive and focus on what Kate would want. And Kate wanted to be a lawyer. She was all about helping other people. And so I feel like the law is a way to help other kids.
For Indiana News Desk, I'm Lindsay Wright.
The first draft of the legislation will be complete sometime in July. Representative Bacon is looking closely at Kentucky's standards as he drafts his proposal. Kentucky has regulations matching the size of the ATV to a child and a mandatory helmet law for riders under age 16.